James Wellington was a man everyone in the city knew. He was 65 years old, tall, handsome for his age, and carried himself like a king. He had built his fortune from real estate, oil, and technology. People called him the Lion of the City because his name opened doors and his presence commanded respect. But James was not only known for his money, he was also known for the car he loved more than anything else. His rare Tesla Model X limited edition, the only one of its kind in the entire region. Shiny silver with golden rims and an interior that looked like the cockpit of a spaceship. Whenever James drove through the city, people stopped to stare. Some took pictures, some waved, and others whispered, "There goes the billionaire with his golden Tesla." People whispered, "That car alone can buy a small hotel." James smiled when he heard it. The Tesla was not just a car, it was his medal of victory. Yet inside the big mansion, there was no peace. James had two wives. Mary, the first wife, had been with him from the beginning. She was gentle, careful with words, and humble. She didn't like loud parties. She didn't fight for attention. Elizabeth, the second wife, was different. She was beautiful, bold, and always ready to argue. She hated being second in anything. She dressed to be seen. She talked to be heard. She often said, if James truly loved me, he would prove it in public. One hot afternoon, James stood by the glass garage with his driver Paul. Paul had driven him for 25 years. He was loyal, careful, and honest. James trusted him more than he trusted most family members. "Paul," James said, "I have built companies, but I have not built a united family." Paul kept quiet. He had seen the arguments. He had carried messages when the wives were not speaking to each other. James frowned. "Elizabeth says I love Mary more. She says it often. She tells her children the same story. Now Michael and Sarah believe it. They push, they demand, and they insult. The house bleeds from the mouth." Paul looked at his boss. "Sir, you have tried. You call family meetings. You beg them to be kind. You give them work to keep them busy, but they don't change." James sighed. "They don't. And I am not getting younger. I must know the truth before I die." "What truth, sir?" Paul asked softly. "Who loves me for me?" James said. "Not for what I own. Not for this car. Not for the houses. For me. I will fake my death." Paul's head snapped up. "Sir?" "I will fake my death," James repeated. "We will call Dr. Peter Wilson. He will help. He will slow my heartbeat with a safe mixture and record a time of death. We will keep me in a hidden place. Then we will announce a final wish, that I must be buried with my Tesla." Paul stared at him. "Sir, buried with the Tesla? That car is worth more than some hotels." "Yes," James said, "and that is exactly why I will choose it. Their reaction will show their hearts. If they truly love me, they will respect my wish even if they don't like it. If they love the car more, they will fight like wolves. I will see everything. I will listen. I will learn." Paul sighed. "This is dangerous. It may bring shame if the fights become public." "It already brings shame," James said quietly. "They fight now. They only hide it better. I want the truth to come out, first to me. Then I will decide what to do with my will." Paul swallowed. "What about Madam Mary and her children?" James's eyes softened. "Mary is good. Daniel and Ruth are humble, but I will not assume anything. A test is a test. Let the truth speak." Paul nodded slowly. "If you have decided, I stand with you." James placed a hand on his shoulder. "Thank you, Paul. I knew I could count on you." Earlier that week, James had started pretending to feel unwell. At dinner, he had pushed away his food and complained of chest tightness. The staff whispered in the corridors, and soon the whole house knew the master was sick. Mary, the first wife, had been worried, checking on him every hour. She sat by his bed and prayed softly. Elizabeth, the second wife, behaved differently. She walked into his room in long silk robes, sighed dramatically, and said, "James, you must take better care of yourself. You are not young anymore." Then she left. By the third day, James lay in bed looking pale. He ate less, spoke less, and allowed Mary to care for him. Elizabeth grew restless. She hated seeing Mary sitting by his side like the true wife. In her heart, she thought, if he dies, I must make sure my share is bigger. On the fourth night, James whispered to Paul, "It is time. Call Peter." After some minutes, Dr. Peter Wilson arrived quietly. The plan was already set in motion. James lay back in the chair as the doctor gave him the mixture that slowed his heartbeat. His breathing became shallow, his body cold to the touch. Dr. Wilson then walked into the main house with a serious face. The family gathered. He cleared his throat and said softly, "I am sorry. James Wellington is dead." The room went silent. The air felt heavy, like a storm about to break. Mary covered her face with both hands. Her whole body shook as tears ran freely down her cheeks. She whispered through sobs, "James, why did you leave me? You promised we would grow old together." Her voice was broken, her sorrow real. She clutched the edge of her chair as if the earth itself had shifted beneath her feet. Elizabeth, however, stood tall. She gasped loudly for everyone to see. "Oh God, what a tragedy!" she cried. But her tears did not fall. She kept glancing around the room as if measuring what belonged to her now that James was gone. Mary reached for Dr. Wilson's sleeve. "Doctor, please, are you sure? Maybe he is only weak. Maybe he can still be saved." Dr. Wilson lowered his head. "I am sorry, Madam Mary. There was nothing more I could do." Elizabeth sighed loudly again and turned to the nearest maid. "Why are you just standing there? Go and make arrangements. Call the lawyer. Inform the family friends. We must prepare." She spoke briskly, her tone more practical than sorrowful. Mary lifted her head and looked at her. Her eyes were red from crying. "Elizabeth, please, can't you wait a little? At least let us mourn him tonight before we think of such matters." Elizabeth tilted her chin proudly. "Mourning is not only about tears, Mary, it is also about planning. A man like James cannot just be mourned in silence. He must be honored properly. And to honor him properly, we must prepare quickly." Mary wiped her tears with trembling hands. "Honor comes from the heart, Elizabeth, not from loudness, not from rushing. I loved him and I will miss him. That is honor enough." Elizabeth's eyes narrowed. "Yes, you loved him. And he loved you too much. Everyone knows it. He gave you too much attention. Perhaps now things will finally be balanced." Mary looked at her in shock. "How can you speak such words at a time like this?" Elizabeth shrugged. "Because truth doesn't change, even in death. You may cry, Mary, but I will not let you take more than your share." Morning broke heavy over the Wellington mansion. The air felt thick, as though the walls themselves carried the weight of grief and suspicion. Outside, curious neighbors stood near the gates, whispering about the death of the great James Wellington. Inside the mansion, the two wives sat in the large sitting room, waiting. The heavy wooden doors creaked, and Mr. Henry Cole, the family lawyer, entered. "Good morning, ladies," he said gently. "I am truly sorry for your loss. Mr. Wellington trusted me with his last instructions, and it is my duty to deliver them." Mary lowered her head in silence, whispering, "May his soul rest in peace." Elizabeth rolled her eyes slightly and leaned forward. "Yes. Get on with it, Mr. Cole. We are all waiting to hear what James decided." Mr. Cole cleared his throat. "This is the statement of Mr. James Wellington," he began. "Firstly, I request that upon my passing, I be buried with my most prized possession, my Tesla Model X Limited Edition. It has been my companion and joy, and I wish for it to rest with me in the grave." The words hung in the air like thunder. Mary's eyes filled with fresh tears, but she said nothing. Elizabeth, however, jumped to her feet, her face burning with rage. "What nonsense is this?" she shouted. "Buried with the Tesla? That car belongs to me and my children. How dare James make such a stupid demand? How dare he?" The lawyer raised a hand calmly. "Please, Madam Elizabeth, let me finish." "No," Elizabeth barked. "That car is worth millions. Do you expect me to watch while they bury our wealth under the soil like a toy, over my dead body?" Mary looked up at her quietly. "Elizabeth, please, he was our husband. If that is what he wanted, we should respect it." Elizabeth turned on her, her eyes flashing. "Of course you would say that, Mary. You pretend to be holy, but I know your tricks. You want the car gone so that my children and I cannot claim it. You have always acted like the favorite wife, but I will not allow you to win this time." Mr. Cole's voice cut through their argument, firm and steady. "Ladies, please, there is more." Elizabeth froze, glaring at him. More? What more could that foolish man have written? Mr. Cole continued reading. All my wealth, including my companies, shares and properties, are to be given to charitable causes, particularly orphanages and children's homes across the country. It is my desire that the wealth I worked for should serve those who have nothing. The room erupted. Elizabeth's scream pierced the air. No, impossible. That is madness. He cannot give everything to strangers when his blood and flesh are still alive. That man has lost his mind. Mary's voice trembled. He gave his life building this empire. If he decided that helping orphans is how his soul will rest, then so be it. We must honor him. Elizabeth spun around and pointed a sharp finger at her. You shut your mouth, Mary. Don't act like a saint. You will not fool me. My children will never accept this insult. Never. Mr. Cole closed the document slowly. I have read the will exactly as it was written. I understand this is difficult, but these were Mr. Wellington's final instructions. Elizabeth's laughter was bitter, almost mad. Final instructions. This is a final betrayal. After all I gave him, after all my years in this house, he gives everything to orphans, to strangers, and he wants his precious car buried like a coffin toy. Nonsense. James Wellington was a fool, Mary gasped. Elizabeth, watch your words. He was your husband. Elizabeth sneered. Husband? That man was only useful while alive. Now even in death he mocks me. He mocks my children. She stormed out of the room. Later that afternoon, Elizabeth gathered her children in her bedroom. Michael and Sarah sat on the edge of the bed, waiting. Mother, Michael said impatiently, what did the lawyer say? Is the estate ours now? Elizabeth's eyes blazed with fury. Yours? Ha! That man, your so-called father, left nothing for you. Nothing. He wants to bury the Tesla with his corpse, and he has written that all his wealth should go to orphanages, to orphans. Can you imagine the insult? Sarah's jaw dropped. What? All of it? Are you sure? Elizabeth sighed. Every last coin. Michael's face twisted with rage. That man is a fool. What kind of father does that? Does he not know we are his children? Does he not know we deserve it? Elizabeth nodded. Yes. He was blind. He loved Mary more, and now even in death he shows it. He gives everything away so that we are left with nothing. Nothing. Sarah frowned. I swear I never loved him. Never. A real father would never abandon his children. A real father would fight for them, not strangers. To me, he is no father. He is a disgrace. Let them bury him with that stupid car. I don't care. But I will never forgive him. Never. Elizabeth smiled bitterly. Good. Let your hearts be hard. From today we must fight for what is ours. Mary and her children will pretend to accept this will, but they are smiling because they think we will walk away quietly. No, we will not. We will fight. And I promise you, the Tesla will not go underground. I will burn this house down before I allow that. Meanwhile, in another part of the house, Mary sat with her children quietly. The atmosphere in her room was different, calm, though heavy with sorrow. Daniel and Ruth sat near the window. Mary's voice was soft. My children, you have heard the lawyer. Your father has chosen to give his wealth to orphans, and he is asked to be buried with his car. Daniel sighed deeply. Mother, I know this is hard, but if that is what father wanted, then we must honor it. He worked hard for everything he had. If he felt that giving it away would bring peace to his spirit, then so be it. Ruth nodded quickly. Yes, mother. We cannot call him a fool. He was wise. He wanted to teach us that money is nothing without love. If helping the poor makes him happy, then I will not complain. Mary smiled faintly. My children, I am proud of you. Many will call him foolish. Many will call him selfish. But I tell you, he was right. Riches come and go, but kindness lasts forever. The next day, Elizabeth dressed in her finest clothes and went to visit one of James's uncles, Uncle Richard, a man who had never liked James. She sat in his living room and spoke in a low voice. Uncle Richard, you know the lawyer very well. Help me change this foolish will. I will pay you whatever amount you want. My children and I cannot be left with nothing. Uncle Richard leaned back in his chair, smiling slyly. Elizabeth, the lawyer is my close friend. Yes, I can speak to him. But why should I help you? What will I gain? Elizabeth frowned. I told you I will give you money. As much as you ask. Uncle Richard shook his head slowly. No, Elizabeth, money is not what I want. I have always admired you, even when James was alive. I kept my eyes on you all these years. This is my opportunity. If you agree to be my woman, my girlfriend, then I will help you. If not, forget it. Elizabeth's eyes widened. What? You insult me. James is barely gone, and you speak like this. Uncle Richard laughed softly. If you are not ready, go home. But if you want my help, you know what to do. I will not ask again. Think well, Elizabeth. The lawyer is in my pocket. But you are the one I truly want. Elizabeth stood angrily to leave, but as she reached the door, she stopped. Her mind raced. What if he is telling the truth? What if this is my only chance to change the will? Slowly she turned back. Uncle Richard, if this is the only way, then I will do it. I cannot let James bury everything with orphans. Uncle Richard smiled wickedly. Good. At last you are wise. Together we will win. Out of desperation, Elizabeth agreed, not knowing that this decision would open the door to even greater shame and destruction. Meanwhile, back at the Wellington mansion, the two families grew hotter with each passing hour. That afternoon, the four children met in the wide garden of the mansion. The flowers were bright, the fountain splashed softly, but there was no peace in the air. On one side stood Michael and Sarah, Elizabeth's children. Their faces were hard. On the other side stood Daniel and Ruth, Mary's children. They looked calm but firm, carrying themselves with quiet dignity. Michael's eyes flashed with anger as he faced Daniel. You are a fool, he spat. You and your sister are fools, just like your mother. How could you agree to that stupid will? Father was mad to write such nonsense, but you are madder to accept it. Sarah lifted her chin proudly. That car belongs to us. Do you hear me? The Tesla is ours. It should never go into the grave. Our father… She paused, her lips curling. If he truly was our father, then he has cheated us. But we will not accept it quietly. And you… She turned on Ruth. You hide behind your mother's fake humility. You think the world will praise you, but they will laugh when you are left with nothing. Daniel's jaw tightened, but he held his ground. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Is this how you honor a father? By insulting his memory and cursing his wishes. You talk of cars and companies, but where is your love? Where is your respect? Michael sneered. Respect does not feed anyone. Respect does not buy houses or build empires. Wealth does. And you, lazy dreamer, will end up with nothing but words. You and your saintly mother can go and join the orphans, since you like poverty so much. Ruth stepped forward. Michael, Sarah, you are the ones who should be ashamed. Father worked all his life, but he knew wealth is empty without kindness. He chose to give to the poor. He wanted to teach us a lesson. But you are too blind to see it, Sarah scoffed. Lesson? Don't preach to me. Who are you to teach me? That Tesla is the pride of this family. Burying it is stupidity. Anyone who agrees is stupid too. Ruth's voice rose, strong and clear. No, what is stupidity is fighting over what you did not work for. What is stupidity is insulting a dead man because he chose to help the poor. You call us fools, but you… She pointed at Sarah. You and your brother are the real fools. Lazy children who only know how to sit and wait for free things. Michael's face turned red. Watch your mouth, Ruth, or I will… Daniel stepped between them, his eyes blazing. You will do nothing. You think you are strong, but you are weak. You depend on a desperate mother who is ready to sell herself to get what she wants. That is not strength. That is shame. Sarah gasped. How dare you? Daniel's voice grew louder. Yes, shame. Do you think we don't see how your mother runs around? Plotting, fighting, cursing. Do you think her behavior is hidden? She is destroying her own name, and she is dragging you with her. Sarah's mouth opened, but no words came. For the first time, she looked uncertain. Michael grabbed her hand roughly. Let's go. These hypocrites are not worth our time. He pulled his sister away, but his angry words floated back as they stormed off. You will regret this. That car will never go into the grave. Never. Daniel and Ruth stood silently in the garden, breathing heavily. Hidden in the secret room, James sat before the screens, watching everything. His heart pounded as he listened to the quarrel between his children. Elizabeth's children calling him a fool. Mary's children defending his name. His loyal driver Paul entered quietly, his face troubled. He had served James for 25 years, but he had never seen chaos like this. "Sir," Paul said in a low voice, "this is becoming too much. Your wives are fighting. Your children are insulting each other. They are calling you names. Even the staff are whispering. Please, sir, let us stop this. Come out now and end it." James leaned back in his chair. "Not yet, Paul," he said calmly. "Wait a little longer." Paul frowned. "But sir, your family is tearing itself apart. They are disgracing your name in front of the community. People are laughing outside the gate." James gave a small smile. "I know. But I want more. I want to see the full truth. I want to know how deep their greed runs. Let them fight. Let them show me their hearts without masks." Paul sighed. "Sir, forgive me for speaking, but is this not dangerous? What if the fight turns violent? What if they harm each other? What if Elizabeth does something desperate?" James's smile turned cold. "Then I will know how far she is willing to go. Paul, you don't understand. All my life I gave them wealth, hoping it would bring unity. But it only bred pride and envy." 2 weeks later, Elizabeth returned to Uncle Richard's house. Richard was on his veranda, sitting lazily in his chair. When he saw her, his mouth stretched into a sly smile. "Ah, my beautiful Elizabeth. You came again. I knew you would not stay away for long." Elizabeth frowned. "Richard," she said coldly, "I have been patient. For 2 weeks I have done what you wanted. I have been with you. I have given you everything you asked, but I have not heard a single word from the lawyer. Nothing has changed. The will is still the same. Tell me, are you fooling me?" Richard laughed, leaning back in his chair. "Fooling you? No, Elizabeth, I would never fool a woman like you. I told you before, I admire you too much. You are fire. You are beauty. I waited years for this chance, and now you are mine. Why would I risk losing you?" Elizabeth sighed. "Don't sweet-talk me. I don't need your empty compliments. I need results. My children are waiting. The burial is coming closer. If that Tesla goes into the ground, we are finished. I cannot keep waiting." Richard smiled. "Elizabeth, my baby, you must learn patience. These things take time. A lawyer cannot just wake up and change a will overnight. Henry Cole is careful. He values his reputation. If he moves too quickly, people will suspect. He must act slowly, gently. That is how big things are done." Elizabeth's face twisted with frustration. "Patience? I have no patience left. I am running out of time. My enemies are laughing. Mary sits in that mansion, pretending to be holy, while I look like a greedy fool. You promised me. You said if I gave myself to you, you would fix this. Where is the change, Richard? Where is my victory?" Suddenly, Richard's face changed. "Elizabeth, do you think you can order me like a servant? Do you know who I am? I am Richard Wellington. Without me, you are nothing. Without me, the lawyer will never listen to you. If you want this done, you must trust me." Elizabeth became more angry. "Trust you? After 2 weeks of silence, I am beginning to think you only used me. I swear, Richard, if you are playing with me, you will regret it." Richard laughed, a low, mocking laugh. "Regret? No, my sweet. You will regret if you leave me now. You think Mary can save you. You think her fake prayers will bring you the car. Number only I can give you the Tesla. Only I can touch the will. But if you insult me, if you threaten me, then you lose everything. Do you understand?" Elizabeth clenched her fists. "You disgust me. Every time I come here, I feel dirty. And yet, I keep coming because of this stupid will. If you betray me, Richard, I will destroy you." Richard leaned in closer. "How can I betray the woman I admire most? I told you before, I had my eyes on you even when James was alive. Now he is gone, and you are mine. I will not let you go. The will shall change, but only if you remain with me. Don't worry, Elizabeth. I am working on it. Trust me." Elizabeth sighed. At last she muttered, "This had better not be a lie." Richard smiled. It is not a lie. But remember, I move at my pace, not yours. If you want the prize, you must play my game. Elizabeth spun around and stormed toward her car. As she entered the car, she whispered bitterly to herself, God help me if this man is deceiving me. Richard watched her leave. Elizabeth, he muttered, proud and desperate. You are mine now, and you will not escape. Elizabeth came back to the mansion late in the evening. She walked into the wide living room. Her face was hard, her eyes still burning with the words Richard had spoken to her. As she entered, she met Mary sitting calmly on one of the sofas. She raised her head slowly. Elizabeth, Mary said quietly, I know where you are coming from. Elizabeth froze. What do you mean by that? Mary sighed. You should be ashamed of yourself. You are sleeping with your husband's uncle. James has not even been buried yet, and already you have defiled his name. Elizabeth's mouth fell open in shock. What did you say? How dare you accuse me like this? Who told you such lies? Mary's eyes did not move. Do not act surprised. The walls of this house have ears. Servants talk. Strangers watch. You think you hide, but you are seen. Even if you cover yourself with scarves and dark glasses, shame cannot be hidden. Just look at you, Elizabeth. A public toilet is what you have made yourself. Elizabeth gasped, her face twisting with fury. Mary! How dare you speak to me like that? Who gave you the right to call me names? You think you are better than me? Don't forget, we shared the same man. Mary hissed, yes, we shared the same man, but I respected him. I honored him in life, and I will honor him in death. You, Elizabeth, you have disgraced him. You have shamed his name. You run to his uncle like a cheap woman while his body is still lying cold. You are a disgrace to this family. Elizabeth's body trembled with anger. Don't you dare call me a disgrace. James is dead. Do you hear me? He is dead. He left us with nothing. He betrayed us. He gave his wealth to orphans and wanted his stupid car buried. Tell me, Mary, what is left for us? Nothing. If I choose to find another man, that is my right. I will not sit like a weak widow and starve. Mary's voice was strong. James is not dead in spirit. His name is alive. His honor is alive. And you, by your actions, you are killing that honor. You are showing the world that you never loved him. Only his money. Elizabeth turned away. Enough. Keep your self-righteous words to yourself. You can sit here and worship a man who abandoned you. I will not. James is gone. I will live my life as I please. The sun was high when Uncle Richard entered the lawyer's office. He carried himself with the arrogance of a man who thought he owned the world. Mr. Henry Cole, the lawyer, looked up from his desk. Richard, what are you doing here? I told you before, James's will is sealed and cannot be changed. Richard walked closer. Henry, my good old friend, we have known each other for years. Do not talk to me like a stranger. I came with a better idea. An idea that will make us both rich beyond measure. Henry's frown deepened. What are you talking about? Richard smiled wickedly. Listen carefully. James left everything to orphanages. That is nonsense. Why should strangers enjoy his sweat? We can change that. But to do it properly, we must remove the obstacles. Henry tilted his head. What obstacles? Richard leaned even closer and whispered, the 2 wives, and their children. They are the problem. If they remain alive, there will always be noise. There will always be someone to question. But if they are gone, then you and I can take everything. We can share the wealth, the houses, the companies. Think of it, Henry. Billions in our hands. Henry's eyes widened in shock. What did you just say? Richard's smile grew wider. You heard me. We can plan it. A small accident. A fire in the mansion. Or maybe something quiet. Poison in their food. No one will suspect us. The public will cry, but in the end we win. You and I, Henry, partners in wealth. Henry's voice became louder. Richard, have you lost your mind? You are talking about murder, your own brother's family. The man is not even cold in his grave, and this is your plan. Richard waved his hand casually. Don't act holy, Henry. I know you like money. Everyone does. This is our chance. James always looked down on me. He refused to give me what I wanted when he was alive. But now he is gone, and I will finally take everything. You should be grateful I am inviting you in. Think of it, no more boring court cases, no more struggling with papers. We will be kings." Henry's face turned red with anger. He pointed toward the door. "Get out, Richard, out of my office before I lose my temper." Richard laughed. "So you are refusing? Don't be foolish. Think again. If you walk away, you lose the biggest opportunity of your life." Henry walked to the door and pulled it open. His voice was sharp. "Get out now. I will not be part of this wickedness. James trusted me to protect his will, and I will do exactly that. You are sick, Richard, sick." Richard smiled wickedly. "Very well, Henry. But remember, when the wealth slips through your fingers, don't cry to me. I gave you a chance." He walked toward the door with arrogance, flaw. But as he stepped outside, 2 police officers were waiting for him. Richard froze. "What is this?" The taller officer spoke firmly. "Mr. Richard Wellington, you are under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder and attempted bribery." Richard's mouth fell open. "What? Who told you this nonsense?" Henry stepped into the doorway, his face calm but stern. "I told them, Richard. I called the police the moment you began to speak your evil plans. You think everyone is like you? You think every man can be bought? Number, you wanted to unalive innocent women and children just to satisfy your greed. You disgust me." The officers pulled Richard's arms behind his back and placed handcuffs on his wrists. Richard struggled, shouting, "You cannot do this to me. I am a Wellington. That wealth should be mine. James cheated me, and you are helping him even in death. This is not over." The officers dragged him forward, ignoring his cries. Back at the mansion, news spread like wildfire. Uncle Richard had been arrested. The servants whispered in corners, the guards shook their heads in disbelief, and the city gossiped louder than ever. Elizabeth, when she heard it, sat in her room with trembling hands. Her heart was heavy, but not with guilt, with anger and fear. "How could he be so foolish?" she muttered. "How could Richard allow himself to be caught? Now everyone will talk. Everyone will look at me." Her mind raced. She had gambled everything, even her dignity, and now her partner in crime was behind bars. For the first time, she began to fear that all her schemes were collapsing. Just then, her son Michael stormed into the room. His face was red with anger. "Mother, is it true that you have been sleeping with Uncle Richard?" Elizabeth's chest tightened. She stood quickly. "Michael, listen to me." "No," he cut her off. His voice cracked with pain. "I heard it with my own ears. The servants are saying it everywhere. How could you do this? Father is not even buried yet, and you disgrace us like this?" Elizabeth's lips trembled. She felt cornered. In that moment of weakness, she decided to tell him the truth she had hidden for years. "Michael," she whispered, "James is not your father." Michael froze. "What did you say?" Elizabeth stepped closer, her voice low but desperate. "You and your sister, you are not James's blood. I married him because of his money. My parents forced the marriage. They said a billionaire needs a beautiful wife, and I needed security. But I loved another man, a poor farmer. We still talk sometimes. He never married. He still waits for me." Michael's mouth dropped open. His body shook. "So, my real father is a farmer, a man working in the soil while I walked in mansions. All this time I thought I was the son of James Wellington, the great billionaire. And now you tell me I am nothing." Elizabeth reached for him. "No, Michael, don't say that. Blood does not matter. You are still his son. You can still fight for what is yours." But Michael pulled away violently. Tears spilled down his face. "You are a liar. You built my life on lies. You destroyed my respect. You betrayed even me, your son." He turned and ran from the room. Elizabeth sank into a chair, holding her head in her hands. For the first time, she realized she was losing everything: her pride, her children, her schemes, her dignity. Deep underground, in the hidden chamber, James sat watching through his screens. Every word had pierced him like a blade. When he heard Elizabeth confess that Michael and Sarah were not his children, his hands began to shake. His heart burned with fury. He stood quickly. "Enough. I cannot watch this any longer. It is time." He climbed the secret stairs, and for the first time in weeks, James Wellington stepped back into the living room of his mansion, alive. Elizabeth was still in shock, pacing her room, when she heard the firm voice behind her. "Well done, Elizabeth," James said. She spun around, her eyes widened, her mouth fell open. "James?" she gasped, staggering backward. "You are dead." James' eyes was burning with anger. "Dead? No, Elizabeth. I was alive all along. I wanted to see the truth. I wanted to test the love of my family, and you have failed more than I ever imagined." Elizabeth trembled. "James, please, I can explain." "Explain what?" James thundered. "That you sold yourself to my brother for money. That you called me a fool. That you taught your children to insult my name. That you confessed they are not even mine. Tell me, Elizabeth, what will you explain? You are nothing but betrayal." Elizabeth fell to her knees, crying, "Please, James, forgive me. I was desperate. You left us with nothing. I had no choice." James's voice cut like a knife. "You had a choice. You could have chosen loyalty. You could have chosen dignity. Instead, you chose greed and shame. You and your children will never set foot in this house again." He pointed toward the door. "Get out. Take your things and leave. From this day forward, you are no longer my wife. And your children, who are not mine, will never inherit a single coin of my wealth." Elizabeth crawled forward, her tears streaming. "James, please, enough," James roared. "Go!" Guards entered the room. With cold faces, they lifted Elizabeth from the floor and led her out. She screamed and cried, but James turned his back and refused to look at her again. After she was gone, James stood in silence. His body trembled with emotion. Slowly, he turned and walked to Mary's wing of the house. Mary was sitting in her room with Daniel and Ruth. When James opened the door and stepped inside, she gasped and nearly fainted. "James," she whispered, "it cannot be. You are dead." Daniel and Ruth stood frozen, their mouths open in shock. James's eyes softened. He walked forward slowly. "No, Mary, I am alive. I faked my death to test the family. I wanted to see who truly loved me. Forgive me for the pain I caused you." Mary sobbed. "James, how could you? Do you know how I wept? Do you know how my children suffered?" James knelt before her, his voice breaking. "I know, Mary, and I am sorry. I made a mistake when I took a second wife. It was my friends who told me a billionaire needs 2 women. I should have known better. I should have stayed with you alone. You were always enough." Mary touched his face with trembling fingers. "I thought I lost you." James shook his head. "No, my love, you will never lose me again." He turned to Daniel and Ruth. "My children, you stood for me. You honored me even when you thought I was gone. From today, you are the true heirs of my legacy." Later that evening, James called the staff together in the main hall. Paul stood quietly by his side. "Paul," James said loudly, "you have been my most loyal friend. You watched over me in secret. You carried my burden. For your faithfulness, I will double your salary from today. And more than that, I will sponsor your 2 children with full scholarships until they finish university." Paul's eyes filled with tears. He bowed deeply. "Thank you, sir. Thank you." The news spread quickly. James Wellington was alive. The world was shocked. The community that had laughed at the family now watched in awe. Elizabeth and her children left the mansion in disgrace, their heads bowed in shame. Uncle Richard remained in prison, his name cursed. But Mary and her children were lifted up. They stood by James as he announced new plans to use his wealth wisely, not only for orphanages, but also to build schools, hospitals, and scholarships for the poor. That night, Mary stood beside James in the garden. The Tesla shone under the lights, untouched, no longer a curse, but a symbol of truth. James whispered to her, "In the end, it was never about the car. It was about the heart, and now I know who truly loves me." Mary smiled through her tears. "And now I know I never lost you." Dear viewers, what lessons did you take away from this dramatic tale? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the story, give us a thumbs up, share it with friends, and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest updates. Thanks for watching and stay blessed.